good. So we're going to look this afternoon about entries, various situations where, as declarer, you need to think about keeping your entries or maintaining entries or creating entries into one hand or the other. So let's have a look at this one. And you open 2 no trump. That's a balanced hand with 20 to 22 points. And your partner passes. And as you can see, they've only got 3 points there. So the pass is quite reasonable. And the opponents lead a heart. And you have to try and make a plan on this hand. And I suggest what you start off by doing is counting your top tricks. And let's do that. We've got 2 spades, 2 hearts, and 3 clubs. We hope to make some more tricks somewhere else. But the question I want to ask you at trick 1 is, what are you going to play at trick 1? Are you going to win this one with the king of hearts or with the ace of hearts in your hand? Or are you going to duck? Are you going to play low from both hands? So have a little think about that. And here comes the first poll of the afternoon. And the question is, what are you going to play at trick 1? The answers? And 65% went for the ace, 24% said duck, and 12% said win the king. And there is only actually one right answer here. And what you have to do on this hand, of course, is think ahead. You've got 7 top tricks, and probably the best chance to make more is in clubs. You have 8 clubs, and as long as the missing clubs divide 3-2, which is the normal distribution, you can make 2 more, but you have to keep the king of hearts as an entry. And that means that you must win the first trick with the ace. By the way, those of you who said ducking, that is a mistake, because if you duck, the opponents will play hearts again, and you will win with the ace this time, but you will then have no more hearts to get to dummy. So the correct play is, of course, to play the ace here, and then you're going to play the clubs. We'll play 3 rounds of clubs, and as long as they divide 3-2, that now sets up the last 2 clubs in dummy, and we've got the king of hearts as an entry over there. So we'll now cash the last 2 clubs. That's 7 tricks. Probably we're not going to make much more apart from the ace and king of spades. So I think I'll probably take the ace and king. That's 9 tricks. And after that, I think I'm going to lose the rest of these to the opponent's hearts. But we'll make 1 over trick. We'll make 9 tricks there. And it was all about thinking ahead and, of course, keeping the entries to the north hand. Sorry, there's a problem in the labeling of this. This north hand is labeled south, so sorry about that. But if that confused you, they're all gone wrong for some reason. I don't know how that happened. But you want to keep the entries to the dummy so that you can run the clubs afterwards. So that, I hope, was a fairly straightforward one. Let's try this one here, where north opens a heart, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. So the normal response there is 1 no trump. You're a bit too weak to bid 2 diamonds, which would be more like 9 or 10 points. And the opponents lead a spade. And again, we're going to think about where we're going to make our tricks. We've got 2 top tricks in spades, and we've got 1 top trick in clubs. So we started with just 3, but we need to look at the suits one at a time and try and decide which is the best option. Where are we most likely to make some extra tricks here? And there's the hearts is a possibility, but I think diamonds is probably the best bet to make some extra tricks, because I've got the king, queen, jack in diamonds, and I've got 8 diamonds. So I think there's a good chance that I'll be able to knock out the ace and make the rest of those tricks. So on this hand, I need to think ahead and keep entries to the south hand, because I want to be able to get in and run those diamonds. Also, the south hand has very few entries outside of the diamond suit. So even if you don't make a full plan, it's always a good idea to try to keep some entries in both hands here. So I'm going to win the first trick with the ace. Again, I don't want to duck because they can play another spade and I'll be forced to win it with the king. So win the first trick with the ace and then play the diamonds. And I'm going to start by leading the queen. There goes the 10. That's useful to keep a note of. Play another one. And at this point, everyone has followed to 2 rounds of diamonds. So that's 8 gone. And I've got 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 1 diamond still outstanding, and it's the ace. So I can draw that with any diamond I like. They'll win the ace. And if they play another spade, I can win that. And now my last 2 diamonds are good. So I think I'll take those diamonds. Okay. And you've made 6 tricks now. You hope to make some, you've got at least 1 more with the ace of clubs, but you're in reasonable shape, given that you've only lost 1 trick, that you can try perhaps the heart finesse. So I'm going to lead a low heart, try inserting the jack, and on this occasion, the finesse succeeds because he plays the ace. And if I bring up the 4 hands, you can now see that East, to win that, had to play the ace. East will probably not play another heart, but might play a club, and I can win that one. And now try to cash some more tricks. I can take 1 more trick with the king. And if I play a club now, because my clubs are quite strong here, they can win the queen. But if they play another club, and if I've been paying attention to the missing clubs, I might try the 8 of clubs and the 10. And played that way, I could make 10 tricks. Even if I didn't play the clubs in that way at the end, I would make at least 9 tricks there. So that was an example of keeping entries, and keeping entries to the weaker hand, which is the south hand here, so that you can run the diamonds. Do interrupt me if you have any questions about that. And let's have a look at another one. Here your partner's opened 1 no trump. That's a weak no trump with 12 to 14. East overcalled 2 diamonds. And, well, you've got 12 points, but a 6-card heart suit. So I think you should probably just jump to 4 hearts there. You can't really play transfers here because of the interference. So you just jump to 4 hearts. And let's suppose they lead a diamond. And down comes dummy. And let's stop to make a plan. And we're going to start by counting our possible losers here. In a suit contract, it's best often to count your losers. So if we look at the club suit, I think I've got 2 club losers there. I've got 1 diamond loser. I don't have any spade losers, and I may or may not lose a heart. I've got 9 trump altogether, including the ace and the king. So if they divide evenly with the ace, with the queen jack dropping, I can avoid that. Or they may not divide 2-2, they may divide 3-1. So I've counted as 2 clubs, 1 diamond, and maybe a heart. But I've got the spade suit here, and perhaps that will provide a source of extra tricks here. So let's see what happens. Let's win the first trick with the ace. And let's suppose we start off playing trumps. We start off with the ace of hearts and the king of hearts, and we're hoping that they divide evenly, but they don't. So East has got the last trump. It's a high trump here, and my second poll for you now is, what are you going to play now? You've just drawn 2 rounds of trump. East has still got a trump out. And the second poll of the afternoon is, which suit are you going to play now? Spade, heart, diamond, or a club? And most of you have gone for a spade, with a couple of people going for a diamond and a heart. Well, let's have a think about this. Normally, when there's one high trump out, and here it's the queen is still out, it's normal not to draw it. But this hand is an exception, because if I leave the trump out, then when I try to play the spades, there's a risk that the opponents will ruff, and I won't be able to cash all the spade tricks. So in other words, let's just bring up the 4 hands and have a look at it. If I make the mistake, I can cash 1 spade, that's okay. But if I click on the GIB button, it's saying that you should not now play another spade. You can make an over trick, but what you must do is draw that last trump. And the reason is that if I carry on in spades, then when I play the spades, East will be able to ruff, and now I'm cut off from the queen of spades. So played that way, the opponents will switch to another suit, and I can keep playing trumps, but at the end, I've got 2 clubs to lose, and I will just make the contract, but only make 10 tricks there, right? I was not able to take all 4 spade tricks. So the way to make this, to make the over trick, is to actually play all the trump. Play all the trump here, and fortunately your holding in the south end is such that they can't really attack you too badly. All they can do is take 1 diamond. If they play another diamond, you'll ruff, and now you can cross over in spades and cash all your spade tricks, and you make 1 more trick. So this was an interesting one. It's an exception to the rule that don't leave out, where you often leave out the last high trump, but here you shouldn't, because there's a danger the opponents will stop you then running your spade tricks. Do interrupt me if you have a question about any of this. And let's have a look at this one here. And this is actually the one I sent out by email in this week's weekly email. And let's have a look at this one. You open 1 diamond, your partner bids a heart, and here you rebid 2 diamonds. You could have also rebid 2 clubs because you've got a second suit, but your diamond suit is so much better. Let's suppose you bid just 2 diamonds, and it then goes pass, double. That double is for takeout. West bids 2 spades, and your partner raises you to 3 diamonds, and the opponents have pushed you 1 level higher than you're going to be, and that ends the auction. And down comes dummy. They lead a spade, the jack of spades, and you need to have a little think about this, and you need to make a plan. And what I always advise you to do is, when you're thinking about playing in a suit contract, you should think about whether you're going to draw trumps. And very often, as in this case, the question is, if you draw trumps, which here will take 3 rounds to draw the opponent's trumps, how many losers will you have? How many losers do you expect if you start by drawing trumps? So have a little think, look at the hand from South's point of view, and think about how many losers you have if you draw 3 rounds of trumps. So here comes that poll, and the question is, how many losers do you think you have if you just start by drawing the opponent's trumps in 3 rounds? Okay, let's have a look at the answers. And there's a wide variety from 2, 3, and 4 were quite popular, and 5, 17% got that, and 1 person said 6. Well, let me go through it and tell you what I think. So if I draw 3 rounds of trumps, I will lose 1 diamond along the way because I'm missing the ace. And my other losers are no spades because I've got the ace and king, 1 heart, 1 diamond, as we said. So it's no spades, 1 heart, 1 diamond. And in the south hand, I have 3 club losers. So the correct answer, which very few of you said, is 5. You have 5 potential losers on this hand. They are 3 clubs, 1 diamond, and 1 heart. Now, those of you who think you had fewer than 5, obviously you are probably planning to rough some rough some clubs in dummy. And that is certainly something we're going to do on this hand. But it's quite important to think about the losers you have and how many losers you want to try to avoid and how you're going to avoid them. So I've got the second poll on this hand now, which is think about your plan on this hand and try and decide whether you want to win this trick with the king of spades, with the ace of spades, or are you going to duck from both hands? So think about your plan on this hand and then think about how you're going to, where you're going to win this, or are you going to let them win the first trick? So here comes the last poll of the afternoon. And most of you have gone for the ace, with 30% going for the king and 2 people going for ducking. So let's try and work this out. Well, I think the way to analyze this hand is to realize that you want to rough 3 clubs. If you can rough 3 clubs in dummy, you can avoid all those club losers, and you will hold your losers to just 1 heart and 1 diamond. So on this hand, my goal is to rough 3 clubs. And I need to get back to the south hand as often as I can in order to rough here. So although you may be tempted to win this trick with the ace, it's normal to win in the shorthand when you're doing roughing. You actually need to keep your ace to do as much roughing as possible. In fact, if I click on the GIB button, it's saying that I can make 2 over tricks, but I must win this trick with the king. I can only make 1 over trick if I play the 4 or the 2. So let's see how it goes. I'm going to win that trick with the king, and then I'm going to play the ace of clubs and start and rough the first club. Okay. Now I want to get back to the south hand, which I can with the ace of spades, and I can rough another club. I'm going to rough that one low, and I now want to get back to my hand to rough that last club. And the only way of getting back to my hand to rough the last club without letting in the opponents is to rough a spade. Observe that if you try to lead a trump, you'll then won't be able to do any more roughing of clubs. And if you lead a heart, the opponents will get in and they should draw your last trump so that you can't rough with it. So I'm going to play another spade, rough that one in my hand, and then finally rough that last club. And played that way, I can get rid of all those club losers. Now I'm in good shape. I'll just play a heart. The opponents will get in, but whatever they play, I will rough, draw their high trump, and claim 11 tricks there. So I can make 11 tricks on this hand, but you need to be aware of the need to keep the entries to the south hand, and it just doesn't work so well if you win the first trick with the ace. You'll have 1 fewer entry. The other thing that's worth noting on this hand is that actually the best lead, if I rewind and go back to the beginning, the best lead which holds declarer to 9 tricks is a trump. Yes, if West leads the ace of diamonds and then plays another diamond, then I'll only have one trump left in the north hand, and I'll only be able to ruff once. So, but if they lead anything other than a trump, I can make 2 over tricks, making 11 tricks. Any comments or questions on that? So that one is a tough one, and it goes against the grey. Normally you win in the shorthand, but here we need to keep the ace of spades as a possible entry to help us ruff clubs. And let's just have a look at one more. Here you open 2 no trump, a balanced hand, and your partner bids 3 no trump, and the opponents lead a spade. And if we stop to make a plan, let's count our tricks. Well, that spade lead looks quite nice. We're going to make at least a couple of spades there. Where else can we make tricks? We've got 2 diamonds, 3 we've got 2 hearts, 3 diamonds. And of course, we want to make as many clubs as we can. The problem on this hand is that we are very short of entries to the north hand. And if you play low from dummy, you may think that you've been given the gift of being able to win this trick with a 10. But if you play the 10, you are now going to be in trouble. In fact, the computer says that to make this contract, you now need to play the ace here. It seems like a waste, but playing the ace will ensure that you have an entry to the north hand. If you make the mistake of playing the 10, let's just bring up the 4 hands and see what happens. You can now play your clubs, and as long as the opponents don't take their club right away, but take it at this point, you now have no entries to dummy except in spades, and you're very unlikely to get an entry because West has still got the king. So whatever they play here, let's suppose they play a diamond, you can lead a spade hoping to get to dummy, but if you play a low spade, West is certainly going to play their king, or if you played your ace, they would play low, and either way, you won't be able to get to dummy. So whatever happens here, you're stranded from your good clubs in dummy, and you will, however you try to get there, you will probably fail and just make 8 tricks on this one. Okay, so the way to make that was to ignore this gift of a spade lead, take your ace, and now you will have a definite entry to dummy. Now you can set up the clubs. Okay, whenever they take their ace, you will be able to get to dummy because you've got the queen jack and you've got rid of your ace. So whatever you play here, they can take that, play another diamond, but you will be able to get there with your queen and cash your club. So that one, if you like, was one that involved sort of not taking the gift of winning the first trick low, but playing the ace so that you are guaranteed an entry to dummy. Anyone have any comments or questions about that? So I hope you found that interesting. We'll end the talk there. I'm going to stop sharing my screen with you. And if anyone wants to play this afternoon at 2 o'clock and needs a partner, you can join the game or you can speak up now